Hello, children. Welcome back. I'm Jasmine, and this is the second module of the story, The Portrait of a Lady, which is written by Khushwant Singh. In the previous module, we have seen how the author was describing his grandmother as a very old lady, and how the author was unwilling to believe the fact that once she was young and pretty. He also mentioned us about how she walked inside the house like a winter landscape in the mountain. Now let's read the story and understand it further. In this part of the story, you can see how the author shares the beautiful bondage with his grandmother. The author lived with her in the village. They were good friends as well. His parents left him with her to settle in the city. The author's grandmother used to wake him up every morning and get him ready for school. During this time, she would recite her morning prayers, which the author listened just because he loved her voice, but he never tried to memorize a word of what she spoke. She recited this whenever she bathed and dressed him up to school. She would make his things ready, which consisted a wooden slate, a tiny earthen ink pot, and a red pen. Before they leave, the author would eat a thick stale chapati with butter and sugar spread on it. And after that, they both used to walk to school, and his grandmother carried stale chapatis with her in order to feed the village dogs. Here you can see how much the grandmother was compassionate towards other animals. In this section of the story, you can see the author describes about how they used to spend the day. He tells that his grandmother would accompany him to the school as the temple was attached to the school and she used to visit the temple daily. On one side, he would sit on the veranda with other children, sing the alphabet and prayers in chorus. On the other hand, she would sit in the temple and read holy scriptures. After completing, they would walk back home together. The village dogs met them at the village door. They would follow them to their home, growling and fighting with each other for the stale chapatis that the grandmother fed them. As you read further, you can see when the author's parents they settled in the city, they took the author and his grandmother to the city. And the author feels that was the turning point in his friendship with his grandmother. They shared the same room, but she no longer would give him company to his school because he started going to an English medium school and a motor bus would come to pick and drop him. There were no dogs in the streets whom she could feed as she did in the village. So she started feeding sparrows in the veranda of their house. As you read further, you can see as the years passed in the city, their interactions reduced. For some time, she continued to wake him up and would get him ready for school. She would ask him what he had learned in school that day. The scientific terminology and English words made her unhappy, as she didn't know the language. She could not help him with the lessons. As his new school never taught him about God and religious scriptures, this made her sad. She did not approve of such an education. When she came to know that he was getting music lessons, it disturbed her. According to her, music was indecent and it was an art for the beggars and prostitutes, and not for those belonging to decent families. She didn't like that he learned music, so she stopped talking to him. Did you see how the special bondage between the author and the grandmother was gradually deteriorating? Now let's see what happens further in the upcoming module. Let me wind up the session and I hope it was helpful to you. Thank you.